Thank you, Mr President. My question is to the Attorney-General, Senator Brandis. Regarding your plans to amend Section 18C of the Racial Discrimination Act and remove the law against offending, insulting or humiliating a person on the basis of their race, Mr Ken Wyatt told the Sydney Morning Herald last week that his belief that these racial vilification laws should remain is shaped by 10 years of experience in Western Australia's Equal Opportunity Tribunal and witnessing how racial vilification has significant impacts on people in ways we don't fully appreciate. Given Mr Wyatt's experience and the strong views of ethnic communities and the chairman of the Prime Minister's Indigenous Advisory Council, Mr Warren Mundine, why is the government proceeding with its bid to repeal the law against racial slurs?
The Attorney-General, Senator Brandis.
Thank you, Mr President. Thank you, Senator Wright, for that question. Senator Wright, you don't appear to be aware that, in fact, there is no Commonwealth law which proscribes racial vilification. Racial vilification is not conduct described by Section 18C of the Race Discrimination Act. And one of the problems with this debate, if I may, through you, Mr President, say so, Senator Wright, is that people make commentary on laws which they haven't read. And you have just done that, Senator Wright. It is the view of the government. It is the view of the government that we can have strong protections of freedom of speech and appropriate laws to protect people from racial vilification, and that the two are not inconsistent objectives. The two are not inconsistent objectives. Now, Senator Wright, might I direct you to what I regard as a very wise editorial in this morning's Australian newspaper, in which the editorial writer makes the point that the problem with public debate in this area in Australia is that it is impossible to have a discussion about race without being accused of being a racist.
Just wait a minute, Senator Brandis. On my left, Senator Wright is entitled to hear the answer without people interjecting. Senator Brandis, continue.
Now,
wait a minute, Senator Brandis. Just hold. Senator Brandis, as I've said, is entitled on both sides to be heard in silence. Senator Brandis, continue.
So, Senator Wright, these are not inconsistent objectives. To have the best laws protecting Australians from racial vilification and have laws at the same time which do not impinge upon the right of citizens to hold and to express opinions without being told what to say or to think by government. And that legislation will be introduced before the middle of the year.
Senator Wright.
Yes, thank you, Mr President. A supplementary question, and in fact the term racial vilification was a quote from Mr Wyatt, and in fact that leads me to the supplementary. Did the Prime Minister need to intervene to limit coalition dissent about the repeal of these laws in a dispute between your coalition colleagues in Cabinet yesterday, as reported in the Australian today?
Order. Order. I will not give the minister the call until there's silence on both sides. Order. Senator Brandis.
Well, Mr President, Senator Wright, there actually wasn't a cabinet meeting yesterday, but nevertheless, Australia is having a discussion about the Racial Discrimination Act, and there is a variety of points of view. And just as the Australian people are having a discussion about the Racial Discrimination Act, so are members of the coalition parties. And you illustrate the very problem that I pointed to a moment ago, Senator Wright, as if there is something impermissible or dangerous about having a discussion about what is, on anybody's view, a vexed social issue. But I tell you what, Senator Wright, I tell you what, when you find a social practice like racism, which does exist in certain quarters of Australian society, political censorship is not the answer.
When there's silence, Senator Wright, you are entitled to be heard in silence. If you... When there's silence, Senator Wright.
Thank you, Mr President. Thank you, Senator Brandis, for your answer. And for the supplementary then, why are you and the Prime Minister ignoring the voices of reason both inside and outside your party and pushing ahead with a law that licences the public humiliation of people because of their race, an amendment that should perhaps be called the Protection of Andrew Bolt Bill?
Order. Order. On my right. On my right. Senator Brandis.
Well, Senator Wright, all voices in the coalition parties are voices of reason. All voices in the coalition parties are voices of reason. But, Senator Wright, let me tell you something. Reasonable people, decent people can disagree in good faith and still be reasonable people.
Senator Brandis, just resume your seat. Just resume your seat. You are entitled... Can I say this outbreak in the chamber is disorderly? I know you're reaching out to each other, but it is not. Order. Senator Cameron. Senator Cameron. I remind honourable senators that this is completely disorderly. Senator Ronaldson and Senator Cameron. Senator Bernardi. Senator Wright is entitled to hear her answer in silence without you people interrupting Senator Brandis. Senator Cameron. Senator Carr. Senator Brandis, continue.
So I think we see, if I may say so, Mr President, in Senator Wright's supplementary question, the very problem here, that there is a view among some, but not among us, that only one point of view, only one set of opinions ought to be allowed to be expressed, and if you dissent from that set of opinions, there is something wrong with you, that you're a bad person or a wicked person or a racist. And let me tell you something else, Senator Wright. Mr Andrew Bolt has just as much right to his point of view as you, Senator Wright, have to yours.